There's a quote by Walt Whitman, and it's real simple. It just says, "Be curious, not judgmental." And the first time I heard that, it hit me. I'm like, wow, that I was almost bummed because I'm like, I wish I would have thought of that, right? I mean, but Walt Whitman, he thought of it. He beat me to it. Anyway, I just took that to heart. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stop judging. I'm gonna be more curious on why people are and what basically, yeah, why don't we be more curious instead of judging? Now, let me before I really get into what I want to talk about today, I want to hit on judging. The way we're wired, we're always going to be some element of judgment. We can't help it. I'm not a perfect person. You're not perfect. There's going to be some sort of judgment at some point. So it happens. But instead of judging people, I find myself more curious. Now, first of all, I've always been a real curious person. As a kid, I'd have to take things apart just to figure out how they worked. And then, of course, they probably didn't after I tried to put them back together. But I've always been curious on why people are like they are. That's what really got me into understanding, trying to understand the brain and how it's wired and how the mind works and human behavior and all of that is because I was curious on how we work. So, where I really want to talk about today is a social media post that I had posted earlier today. And it stems from, well, a journaling question I asked myself even earlier today. Every day when I journal, I do write down my feelings. At night, I journal in the morning. But in the morning, I ask myself several questions. And one of the questions is simple. It just says, what are you going to do today that is going to make the 10-year-old version of you proud? I just love asking that, right? Because I think about that kid. I think about the 10-year-old version of me. Now, in my adult eyes looking back, I was like the perfect 10-year-old, but I'm sure that I wasn't, right? I knew when I started using drugs and alcohol at 11. You can imagine what I was like at 10. But the truth is, I want to make the 10-year-old version of me proud. I want him to say, wow, man, that's the person I became. And I love my life. And I love that I could do something every day to make that person proud. I had a great conversation today that really I was proud of. And I'm sure if 10-year-old Steve was in the room, he'd be proud too, right? So here's where I became more curious than judgmental. I look at people and I think, are they living the life that they expected to back when the world was wide open, back when everything was possible, back when you had dreams, these big grand dreams? Are they living that life? Now, here's what's going to sound like I'm judgmental, but I'm not because I ask that question of everybody. I don't care what your profession is, what your role in society is, whatever. It even bothers me to use that term, role in society. You know, your role in society is to be the best you could be, is to be you. That's your role. Be you. Don't follow the rules. Anyway, I think about like there was a clerk at the Walgreens when I used to live in Park Ridge. His name was Chuck. And Chuck was a great guy. Loved talking to Chuck. Everybody knew Chuck. And I often wondered, did Chuck want to be a clerk at Walgreens when he grew up? Now, Chuck was older than me. You know, he was probably at least 5 years older than me. You know, I'm 60 today. He's 65. He's probably a lifer. I don't know if he's still there. I don't know. I should probably, next time I'm in that area, I'm going to pop in and ask about Chuck. Um, but do you think he aspired to be a clerk at a Walgreens? And you wonder, what do people aspire to be, and are they living that life? And not just in their profession. You see people and you look at them physically, and again, without judgment. I mean, I can't help like this person is obviously overweight. I'm not judging; it's pretty obvious. Do you think they said, "Yeah, you know what? I don't care about my weight," or you know what? There's nothing I can do about it, or whatever? Did you think when they were 10 years old, they're like, "Yeah, screw it. You know what? I don't mind being overweight." I often wonder. I'm so curious about that. And I think that there's a lot of people, and I don't know the statistics. If I had a guess, by a lot of people, I mean probably over 90%, probably closer to about 95, 96, whatever. I don't know. Um, are not living the life that they intended. Not living the life that they thought they're going to have. Now, granted, nobody picks out their life at 10 and then follows through with that. Are very few people. I think you're a fireman because there's everyone in your family's a fireman. Well, okay then. But I think what happened? Was it a switch like it went on or off? Was it life got to them? Why did people stop going after that dream that was so big when they were young and the world was wide open and there was potential and opportunity everywhere? I'm going to be an astronaut. Maybe you're 5 when you're going to be an astronaut. I don't know. But what happened? Was it a one day they woke up like, yeah, that's not going to happen? Was it a long, drawn out beatdown? Now, I know our schools are not the greatest in America for really pushing kids. They're there to educate kids. They're not there to get these kids on a at least my thinking is not on that, every opportunity to go after. I think at least the public schools, they got to educate these kids. That's just the foundation. It's a whole different ball game. But school can be difficult. The kids, when they enter it, are they're so excited at 5, but when they leave it at 17 or 18, they hate the world. It seems like Sir Ken Robinson had one of the most watched TED Talks ever. For years it was. I don't know if it still is. He'd passed a number of years ago, and I'm sure others could have surpassed it. And he broke down the American school system, and he talked about, kids of getting, for lack of a better term, just kind of run down, beat down, just kind of, or maybe it's just teenagers in general. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I'm more curious what happened at 10 years old when you're going to be the president of the United States and then you're a clerk at Walgreens, or you're going to have this most wonderful life and you don't. Did when did you accept that you're not and quit trying to do anything about it? Now, in this episode, I'm not really solving any problems, am I? Like I'm not giving a lesson here. I'm not telling you, oh, just do this and everything will be okay. What I'm doing is asking you to examine your life and go, was this the life that I thought I'd have? Because here's the thing, it's never too late to go after that life that you want. It's never too late to start. Today's the youngest you're ever going to be. And the two best times to plant a tree, 20 years ago and today. It's never too late, but my question is, when did people stop even examining their life? Now, I will never quit. I will never quit what I do. I have my vision. I visualize every day. I love using my imagination. I think one of the greatest gifts we have is the ability to imagine. That is an amazing gift. The other gift, I had this conversation today. The other gift I believe we have is one of the greatest is empathy. I think that that is such a wonderful gift. And a lot of what I do is not for me. It's for the rest of the world. It's not egocentric. It's ethnocentric, right? Where I look at the rest of society and go, I want to help everybody. This is why I'm doing it. And today, like I said, I'm not giving a lesson. I'm asking a question. A self, I don't know, like you can look at yourself, address it, yourself, and go, am I living it? And if not, well, you can say, why not? You can look back, or you say, what's it going to take to start and begin with that? And that'd be wonderful if this podcast can change the difference in at least one person's life. Just one. If it was 10 people, man, that'd be amazing. But I would be happy with one or 100. My goal is to change the life of every person on this earth, on God's green earth, and change it in such a way where they could recognize and realize that they can live the life that they want, that they can live their best life, their highest life, and go after their dreams, turn their dreams into a life. And I don't know how long it will take. I don't know if I'll do it in my lifetime. But here's what I do know, um, that it can continue. I could ignite the spark and it could be a movement. And you know what? That movement can outlast my lifetime. So just really today is just about the question about you living up to your expectations because you have such unlimited potential. I believe in people more than they believe in themselves. I could say that with absolute certainty because I know what I've been able to overcome, and I know that you can too.